And it looks like we are finally going live. I guess we're live. So we're going to go ahead and roll with it. Well, we're here. We're all new. The Spurs Takeover. We are doing a Spurs game recap. And I'm joined by my friends here, Jonas Clark, Benjamin Bornstein, and Wesley Perkins. Yeah, let's go, man. Go Spurs, go. We got a win.
Spurs,
it was
go.
an ugly win, but it was a win.
I'll take it.
21-2 to open seasons under Greg Popovich. 21-2. Don't forget.
That's amazing.
Story of the
amazing.
night, fellas. Turnovers. It was ugly. What do y'all got to say about that? Because I know Ben, before we got on here, he had something to say about DeMar DeRozan. So you all get your Rotten Tomatoes and your eggs, and you get ready to throw them at Ben. Direct them at Ben. What do you got to say for yourself, Ben?
I told you beforehand there was going to be a lot of DeMar DeRozan slander tonight. He shot 3 of 10. He shot 7 of 11 from the free throw line, which is okay. He had four rebounds, 4 assists, but also 4 turnovers, a block. He was +2 while he was on the floor in 31 minutes with 13 points. It's not a bad outing, but it's just there were a lot of people. There were a lot of people I saw who were upset about, this is him being a one-dimensional guy. There's talk about contract extension. There's talk about giving him a lot more money, and he's getting paid $27.7 million this season, and he can pick up a player option for basically the same amount next season. And Joe and I talked about this on the preview podcast as well. But basically, he's gonna. It was one game, so we can't read too much into it. But I think we're for a guy who doesn't really shoot or make threes. It's hard to justify paying him a lot of money in this day and age of the NBA.
I can see your argument.
He did shoot a 3 tonight.
Yeah.
He did make an attempt from 3 tonight.
He did attempt one shot. That is true.
It was ugly, but he made it.
What did he have on the night? Let's see what he did. Yeah, he had 1 3-pointer attempt. He didn't make it, so he was 0% from the 3. Field goals made. He had 3 on the night. I don't think he made his first field goal of the night until in the fourth quarter.
Correct.
So I was like, wow, that's a long drought.
But the important thing here is, Joe, is that you don't need him to.
Yeah.
There's a whole other roster built around him this year, which is the key factor. Last year we relied on him heavy and we got disappointed a lot. This year you don't need him to.
Yeah, that is true. Now that we have our big gun in the mix now, we got Dejounte, man. Dejounte looked good tonight. I was excited to see him. He was awesome, dude. He played really good defense out there on the court. His speed, his athleticism, and his length. It wreaked havoc on the defensive end. He played a really, really good game. Dejounte Murray had 31.38 minutes. He had 13 points on the night. I'm looking at DeMar DeRozan. I'm so excited about Dejounte Murray. Dejounte Murray had 23 minutes, 47 seconds out there. Dejounte Murray had 18 points on the night. So he played a good game. On the plus minus, he was +9 for the night. So I liked his overall game. He had 8 rebounds. He had 8 assists. He also had 4 turnovers, and he had 3 steals. But you like every effort that he put out there on the court. He looked amazing, and somebody had said he looked like he was worth every bit of the $64 million that the Spurs paid him. I have to agree with them. He got me excited. What did you all think of Dejounte?
Well, let me say this to you, Joe, and guys. This is my take with Dejounte tonight. It's like, yes, he looked like a man amongst boys. And in some respects, kind of going off what Ben was talking about with DeRozan, the guys out there on the floor are so slow. They're slow to react. And I know it's game one. It's easy to knee jerk. It's easy to say that the guys aren't in game shape right now. But, you see Dejounte, he's got a gear that the rest of the people on the court from a Spurs perspective don't have. And I'm starting to wonder if, I know it's way early and this is a gut reaction, but I'm just starting to wonder if the Spurs have enough athleticism to compete. I mean, this is a very athletic and young Knicks team that they're playing tonight. Certainly, and one that's raw and has some talent, but it's not going to probably put it together for a year or two. But to me, what stood out about Dejounte was, yes, his floor game was really good, but when he got in with, DeRozan and with Aldridge, it really put him in a place where he couldn't do much. The guys around him were too slow to react, and I just felt like a lot of times it ended up being that iso ball situation because he was not able to create for others as they were, just being hounded by the Knicks players that were much younger and quicker. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, we got some viewers here. Shout out to you, Jason. Jason says he can't say anything yet. He says, hit me up after 10 games. He's still on the fence about Dejounte. Okay. Robstown 12, he said, Pop took out DJ early, or Dejounte Murray out early. He could have dropped more. True, but, I mean, the guy's coming back from an injury. He's been playing, but Pop is always going to err on the side of caution, and he's going to monitor those minutes. Dejounte made the most of those minutes. I mean, he was amazing out there on the court. LaMarcus looked good as well. He was doing his job. He was out there in the paint, turning around, doing a little jumper. He even hit a three-pointer near the end of the game. So, I mean, LaMarcus looked good out there, man. I got to say. The only one that was kind of lacking by Ben's standards was DeMar DeRozan. He got the evil eye. He got the evil eye of Ben tonight. So
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Look,
I thought that too. I'm with him. Same thing.
Look, there's going to be like 2 or 3 games this year where DeMar DeRozan ends up getting the last shot of the game and he wins the game for this team. I just know it, and I'm going to get everybody's going to crap on me, and it's going to be my worst nightmare. And I'm going to be like, okay, now I have to eat it for like 2 or 3 days until the next game. But,
Bring your umbrella.
Right. You know what? I'm okay with that. If that means DeRozan ends up doing the things we don't expect him to do, so be it. That's great. I love it. That's fine. For me, I said this immediately after the game and as the game was ending, but Bryn Forbes is going to get paid this summer. Somebody is going to pay him major money this summer.
Big time.
He keeps hitting shots like he was. Also, I thought for Trey Lyles' first game, I thought he played pretty solid.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Outside of the
quick
foul
shout out.
trouble,
Let me give a quick
sure.
shout out to somebody who's always watching here. Frank Ramirez, what's up, brother? He says, what's up, guys? Go Spurs, go. I got to say hi to him, man. He's always one of our biggest supporters. Michael DeLeon, the founder of Project Spurs, the big boss
What's up,
man.
Michael?
He's here watching.
My man.
He says, plus, if they have the game in hand, no need to keep him out there and risk injury to pad stats. And he's talking about Dejounte. And I got to agree with him on that end. But, we haven't heard what Jonas thought of this game. Jonas, give us your expert analysis.
Well, I don't know about expert here, Joe.
I'm churching you up, Jonas. Come on now, man.
But what I did like, and I really loved my main man. I got to give him his pedestal, Jakob Poeltl.
Yes, sir.
He is finding his role. I loved him last year, and I'm even more in love with him this year. He's able to run the floor outside of that errant. It ended up being called a jump ball, but he had really soft hands on that catch. He was aggressive, and he put the ball in the basket, and that's what he did. And he blocked shots. Well, it took him a while to block a shot, but I jumped through the roof when he did. I am so excited to see how he develops in this offense. I know that news came out today that LaMarcus Aldridge is now guaranteed his money for next year, but I think that that's going to be a good thing as Jakob still works on defining his role in our system. And then you have the development of Luka Šamanić coming up yet too. So I think it's good to have LaMarcus for another year yet. I also want to just say, I know that we were all kind of wondering where was Dejounte in the third quarter, but he hit the floor hard. When I think it was on a steal attempt, he had turned it over and he hit the floor hard. And at that point, I think it was Bill Land on the TV broadcast had said that Dejounte looked uncomfortable. And from that point until the start of the fourth quarter, you did not see Dejounte. And I think that was just more of that precautionary, let the kid rest. because he came out of the gates hot and he didn't slow down until he hit the floor at that point. So just give him his rest. I think that was really important. The big thing with the whole team as a whole, really quick, is just they're going to take some conditioning. I think that they can run with a team like the Knicks. They showed that in the first quarter. But these guys haven't had to play organized ball. They play limited minutes as in the preseason, and it's just going to be conditioning. Dejounte has been conditioning since last year. He has no minutes on him in terms of gameplay. He was excited. He was ready to come out. So I think that as we see the season develop, you'll see the guys be able to keep pace with him more as he's more excited to push it. And I think that we did see early, too, DeMar was excited to be a part of a pushed pace. He looked uncomfortable in last year's, slow down, set up shots. Now that we're running a Spurs system, you're moving the ball movement. I was getting really excited for that too.
Yeah, hey, I got to give a quick shout out here. Shout out to you, Doris. Doris, I always see her at the games. She's always a frequent contributor to us and what we're doing here, and she's always coming out and supporting everything we do. So shout out to you, Doris. She says, Joe, will Bryn play this season? Well, Joe will play Bryn this season is what she says. Laugh out loud. I love Bryn. I love Bryn Forbes. We made up. We're friends now. And it says, I like this one. Manny Fresco. He's watching from Periscope on Twitter. He says, Forbes is the people MVP. I like that. Forbes is the people's MVP. We got to get a shirt, mate.
The people's champ.
The people's champ.
There you go.
Oh, I like that, man. Bryn Forbes
waiting for the people's elbow.
Put his face on the was it that little pad that the Rock would wear? Yeah. Oh, I had said that we're going to listen to Jonas expert analysis, and Jason said that Jonas is semi-pro. Jonas is better than me. And
I'll take semi-pro. Give me G League. G League status.
Frank Ramirez says, have a good feeling about this Spurs team. I do too. Robstown 12 says, Lonnie, Luka, KJ didn't see the floor. Hard to get all the young guys on the floor, more potential. Yeah, Spurs Twitter is going to be on fire, man. They're going to be lit right now. They're probably mad, ready to burn the whole damn thing to the ground because their favorite, Lonnie Walker, played 0 minutes tonight.
Yeah,
I mean,
and let me say this. I'm not normally the one to say much about what Pop does or doesn't do because the guy's a genius. He's the best coach of all time. I mean, really. But, you have to wonder how much more play can they get, a guy like Marco Belinelli? How much more play can you get, for a guy like, Patty had a great international, summer this summer. But, it's been documented his struggles of, last year. And, of course, I know tonight it's one game. It's a one-game sample, so it's easy to overreact. But I just look at a guy like Lonnie, and they shut him down in the summer league because of, what he was doing. And again, I know it's summer league, so you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt. But, I mean, if you shut that guy down, you obviously had big plans for him. And I'm not so sure being the 12th man or the 11th man on the bench with DeMar is where you probably want him to be. Maybe there's something else there. Maybe there's a little bit of a tweak and an injury or something. But, I would hope that maybe we're not going to see the same old Spurs that we saw last year because we saw that team wasn't quite enough as a whole package to beat some of the better teams in the Western Conference. And as we know, the parity has gotten even stronger. So let's hope that the Lonnie Walker thing is a one-game kind of thing. And, I have faith in Pop. I know he knows what's best, and he's going to do what's best for the team. But, yeah, I understand it. I mean, I certainly wanted to see Lonnie Walker tonight.
Yeah, I think everybody did. But it is what it is. He'll get his chance to shine. It just wasn't tonight. Turnovers for the Spurs. They had 21 turnovers for the game, which translated into 32 points for the New York Knicks. The Spurs did shoot themselves in the foot. At one time in the second quarter, they were up by 16 points. They did come back in the third, kind of, turned the ball over again. They started getting stagnant on the offensive end. What they did is they went ahead and they threw the ball to LMA in the low block, and they kind of just stood around, and they just let him go to work in the paint. That's good. I mean, he was hitting his shots, but you needed to see some movement to that offense. You needed to see some guys cutting, moving without the ball, and you didn't really see a lot of that. They started getting their game back together in the fourth quarter. They didn't have, I think, a single turnover in the fourth quarter, which really helped them. And their defense actually helped them out as well. And they had a great game. I mean, it was closer than we'd like, but at least they were able to come from behind and get the win. But I want to go ahead and hear what Ben has to say. Let us know what else you saw out there, especially in the fourth quarter.
Well, like you said, no turnovers in the fourth quarter. If you keep a clean fourth quarter like that, it's going to be real easy to come back and win a game. And I think part of it was the Spurs experience came into play. And I think something that should be talked about is Julius Randle left the game with an injury. And I think that gave the Spurs a mismatch as well.
Was it an ankle or was his foot?
From what I saw, I think trainers were going to work on his ankle, but like he was rubbing his knee. So I don't really know. So I'm not entirely sure on what his injury was, and I don't know the severity, but I mean, they lost him for a good portion of that fourth quarter. And I think that might've been around the time the Spurs went on that big run. And so, basketball comes down to a game of runs, Marv, as they say in every good 2K game. So, I think that's what happened tonight. The Spurs went on a run of turning the ball over, and then they went on a run of actually scoring points and not turning the ball over. So, you got kind of your Jekyll and Hyde of what you might see from the Spurs this year, where, if they don't turn the ball over, they keep it clean. They're moving the ball. Everybody, even if you get it into LaMarcus Aldridge in the post and you're moving, good things can happen. And if Dejounte Murray is going to hit corner threes, it's going to be a great year, because Tony Parker was a guy who came into the league, never shot threes, and then basically only exclusively shot corner threes when he did shoot a three, and became kind of niche in that area, and it worked out.
So what you're telling me is that you might come around to DeMar DeRozan still. There's still hope. There's still a chance.
You're telling me
still
there's
a chance. I had to call you out, man. That was funny.
You did. But yeah, hey man, if DeMar DeRozan proves me wrong and shows me to be an idiot, I'm here for it. I would be grateful for that. That would be fantastic, because that means the Spurs are probably doing really well with another guy who can shoot threes.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, well, he did attempt the one. Tonight. So he gets the golf clap.
You got to start with trying, and then you make your way up to doing.
If at first you don't succeed, try and try again.
That's what I have to tell my fourth graders when I coach them.
You got to keep trying. One of y'all is going to knock down a three. We can't have Dairy Queen until somebody hits a three.
Can I mention really quick on that attempting to shoot three? When we came out of the gate, it seemed like we were on pace to go for maybe 8 per quarter. And then it just slowed down big time as the game wore on. We shot less and less threes until the fourth quarter, and that's when Bryn hit that triple, and that's when it came back to life. I was like, why? I was trying to keep screenshots throughout the game as the Knicks were starting to sink in. They had a 3-point advantage at 8-4, and we were down by 6 points. That's a major difference in the game. I don't know why we weren't as comfortable shooting threes during that middle part of the game. We let it get away from us, and that's the same time that the Knicks went on their run and ended up taking the lead.
Yeah, and that middle part of the game, I think what happened there is that the Knicks started playing a little bit better on the defensive end. The Knicks, nobody gave them a shot in this game. They expected the Spurs to blow them out from the get-go. Second quarter, the Spurs looked like they might in fact do that, but they started turning the ball over. The Spurs kind of shot themselves in the foot, but give credit where credit is due. The Knicks did play decent defense. You got to give them at least that. They have a young core. They're going to be an okay team. They're going to be mediocre, let's be honest. I don't expect them to make the playoffs, but they're going to still at least go out there and compete. And they did that tonight, except that the Spurs were just too much for them in the fourth, and they kind of pulled away. And the Knicks showed they're inexperienced, I think. So, before we go ahead and end, let's go ahead and hear what you have to say in closing, Wesley.
Well, it's a win, and you'll take a win every single time. I don't care. Joe, and you and I have talked about this before on Two Shots before, is that, it doesn't matter if it's ugly. It doesn't matter if it's a 1-point win. It doesn't matter if it's a blowout. You take it every single time. And that's, things are going to get better as we go. And we're going to see things clean up as the game shape comes to all these players. I will say this, I came away from tonight, from just a competitive standpoint, looking at the Knicks and what, Fizdale is doing with those guys. I kind of call them the no-name Knicks, because there's not just really anybody, there besides, obviously Morris and a few other names that we know. But you got to be impressed. You got to be impressed with the youth and athleticism and the quick hands of a lot of their players and what they're able to do. And as for our Spurs, we're still a work in progress. It's going to be real interesting to see in the next coming weeks, what the lineups look like. What, are we going to see Derek White and Dejounte at some point together? And Derek was kind of a no-show tonight in some ways. We didn't get to see him do a lot of the Derek things that we know he can do. So, it's just a big question mark right now. It's a first game. It's a good win. And let's move on to the next one and see if we can't keep it rolling.
Yeah, I think me and Jonas had a discussion about that earlier today, and we both agreed that we're probably not going to see a heavy dose of Dejounte and Derek White on the court together. They're probably going to stagger them out. As Jonas had pointed out, Derek is going to primarily be out there on the court when the second unit's on the floor. And Dejounte is going to be out there with the starting five. And at times they will play together, but it's probably not going to be what we had envisioned. At least not yet. There's still hope, though. But like you all said, Pop is still going to play around with the lineup. He's going to tweak things a bit. So we have that to look forward to. So let me go ahead and get your thoughts here in closing. Ben, go ahead and let us know what you're thinking.
I'm thinking that Marco Belinelli needs to get his minutes cut back a bit, give them to Damari Carroll and or Lonnie Walker. But I get
I'll
it.
agree with that one.
I mean, Popovich is going to go with Belly because he's played with them before. He understands the system. He's a guy who has a very unique specialty. We'll put it that way. He is very good at making off-balance shots that should not go in, but he consistently makes them because he's Marco Belinelli. And that's the way that cookie crumbles.
That's
it
an
is
art.
an art.
The off-balance shot is an art.
I 100% agree. That's why half my shots I take in rec league are off balance, because nobody appreciates that art anymore.
Are they off balance, or is that the knee giving out?
I'm not there yet, but I got close tonight.
Oh, okay, man. Well, Jonas, give us your thoughts here. You get the last pitch here. So make it count. Are you going to give us a walk-off home run with your last thoughts?
Maybe. We'll see here. So I hope that the Spurs, Pop calls up Frank Wilson across the street and asks to borrow the jugs machine, because I think that's where a lot of our turnovers happened tonight. It was just off the hands. It was either poor timing passes, or they just weren't ready for it. They couldn't close their hands fast enough, like you guys are showing here, and that's what led to a lot of that. And as we get ready, I know that we're talking about, there's still time to mesh and still time to work out the lineups. There's really only one more game, because you have the Wizards coming up next, and that's when you start to open up. You've got the Blazers, the Clippers, the Warriors, and the Lakers are your next 4 games after that. And so 1-0 can turn into 2-4 really quick if you don't clean up those little things. So I'd like to see them work on that. I'm not really too worried about Lonnie's minutes. I think that he'll earn his time as he gets his own. I'm not too worried about that. And the more that these guys do get a little bit more time to work together, they're already comfortable. We saw that tonight. And I think that the biggest thing as you come off the first game is you can already show it wasn't a blowout game. They came from behind. They've already set that pace and tempo that they can come from behind the rest of this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. They showed that they can do that. They're capable of doing that. And they showed also that they are quite capable of playing good defense when needed to win a game, at least in this first game of the season. Hopefully that trend continues. So let's go ahead and end the show on that note. Hey, it's a win. The Spurs right now have the first win of the season. I like the way that sounds.
That's where you got to start with. You got to start with one and then take it one game at a time. But I am still looking at the next four after that.
Yeah, so we'll go around the horn here real quick. We'll go ahead and start with you, Wesley. Where can people find you on social media?
Well, the best way to talk to me about sports, I like to use my Twitter for that, and that's at Wesley Perk. I like to talk a lot of Spurs. Obviously, baseball happenings right now. I know we're talking Spurs tonight, but Astros in the World Series, pretty exciting.
It was 8-2, right?
Yeah. So it's exciting time. This is my favorite time of year. You got football, you got college football, you got pro football, you got Spurs starting up. It's just such a good time to do that. But at Wesley Perkins, you can look me up on Facebook, Wesley Perkins, and chat about all things sports.
It's a great time to be alive for Wesley. All right, and Ben, where can they find you and engage with you and throw those rotten tomatoes and eggs at you for bad-mouthing DeRozan?
Yes, I will be on.
I'm starting the line, by the way. I'm starting the line. It starts behind me.
Fantastic. Can't wait. I hope you throw the biggest tomato. I will be unfolding my umbrella on Twitter at _Boomstein. I do a lot of writing for I do podcasts with Joe for the Two Shots podcast. I write for Project Spurs, and I'm writing for a couple other people, and my specialty is kind of college basketball. I'm looking forward to the draft, and so I'm also looking forward to about 2 weeks from now we get real college basketball, meaningful games. It's going to be great. Can't wait. March to Madness begins.
Wreckham Tech. Let's go, baby. Let's go, Red Raiders.
Oh, no.
This guy.
You and Clint, man. I'm going to have to hear you and Clint. Clint Proctor. Pinkies up.
Hey,
I'm surprised he's not watching right now.
Hey, when you got a good squad like Tech does, let's not talk about football. But when you're talking basketball, now we're talking.
Here we go, Texas Tech Red Raiders again. You're gonna be hoping they make the Final Four.
Probably not going to happen, but I'll be lighting my Red Raiders candles. Definitely.
Don't be crying like Clint, man. Clint was distraught, man. He was brokenhearted, dude.
No, I didn't go out of my house for a little while. I'm not gonna lie. I was in shell shock, but nonetheless, I'm opening old wounds, Joe. You're not helping, Coach. You got to move it along.
All right, Clark Jonas, and the man who does have a Bigfoot picture for his Skype profile. You're winning, Jonas. You're the man. Where can everybody get a hold of you and talk sports and anything else with you on social media?
I appreciate that. So I'm really just on Twitter for the most part at Jark Clonus. A little play on my own name there at Jark Clonus on Twitter. You can find me there for anything Cleveland Browns because it's that time of year. But y'all know I love my Spurs. Go Rampage because they've got the cord that sets up your Stanley Cup champion Blues as they try to defend that. So I'm all over that too, y'all. If you're interested in my fantasy and LARPing photos, I'm on Instagram. You can DM me on Twitter, and I'll share that with you.
There you go. And you can also reach me, Joe Garcia. We're doing this show here in partnership with Project Spurs, and they're probably going to put this up as part of their write-up tomorrow. So we're going to make sure that we share this out there on social media. So make sure you also go and follow Project Spurs on Twitter and also follow the Project Spurs Network. They're both on Twitter and Facebook. And you can also follow us, Two Shots Podcast, all spelled out, TWOSHOTS, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So everybody make sure you go and like us and subscribe, share, do all that good stuff on social media so we can keep doing this. So for Jonas Clark, Benjamin Bornstein, and Wesley Perkins, I'm Joe Garcia. Thank you for watching an all-new episode of the Spurs Takeover. So we're out. Peace. Good night. And go Spurs, go.